Haters. I'm gonna do something real quick. Just reading something, talking about it. Now, a polar vortex disruption is underway. What it means is up in the air. Scientists still can't yet say how a massive warming in the stratosphere above the North Pole will affect our weather. Temperatures at the high altitudes above the North Pole are soaring, jumping up to 50 degrees in barely a week. The so called sudden stratospheric warming is disturbing the polar vortex, which in turn could have major implications for weather patterns across the northern hemisphere in March. But scientists, despite successful predicting this warming event 2 weeks ago, says it's too soon to know what it will mean for the weather in anyone's backyard. These events, which occur in 2 out of every 3 winters on average, don't play out in a prescribed way. There has been some speculation that the current event could topple the first domino in a chain reaction that would reshuffle weather patterns. For instance, the eastern U.S. has seen an exceptionally mild January and February, and some previous sudden stratospheric warming and polar vortex disruptions have precipitated extreme cold snaps and severe winter storms. Andrea Lang, a researcher at the University of Albany, wrote in an email that polar vortex disruptions have been known to result in a 50% increase in cold air outbreaks in the northern hemisphere and a shift in the storm tracks. The last time a sudden stratospheric warming event occurred was January 5th, 2021, just over a month later. The most dramatic cold air outbreak since 1989 plunged the central U.S. into a historical deep freeze, causing the collapse of Texas power grid, claiming at least 330 lives and incurring more than $27 billion in damages. But multiple experts interviewed about the ongoing event say it's too soon to know whether this one will trigger extreme weather or meaningfully change prevailing weather regimes over the northern hemisphere. So, now this is to the slow people. What is the stratosphere? To understand these events, we first have to ask, what is the stratosphere? We live in the troposphere, or the lowest level of Earth's atmosphere. Weather predominantly occurs in the troposphere. Above the troposphere lies the stratosphere, which begins between 5 and 12 miles above the ground. Excuse me. Air temperature decreases with height in the troposphere. That's why airplane windows always feel cold, even in the heart of a summer, but increases with altitude in the stratosphere. Thunderstorm anvil clouds flatten out when updrafts hit the boundary between the troposphere and the stratosphere. Meteorologists refer to that as the tropopause. What's the polar vortex? You've probably heard of the term polar vortex before, but referring to a singular polar vortex is a bit of an oversimplification. Both the troposphere and stratosphere each have a polar vortex. The troposphere is present year round, tends to be more chaotic, and is encircled by the jet stream. The stratospheric polar vortex is smoother, smaller, and more circular. It doesn't exist year round. Instead, it's a whirlpool of frigid air that forms in the fall as the upper atmosphere cools. The bone chilling, dense air sags downward as its density increases, creating a void in the upper atmosphere that pulls air inward in a counterclockwise fashion. That vortex persists until the atmosphere warms in the spring. What causes a sudden stratospheric warming? A sudden stratospheric warming ensues when air temperatures in the stratosphere rapidly increase. That can come from a disruption to the stratospheric polar vortex, jarring the vortex through large-scale atmospheric waves. Sprawling mid-latitude weather systems that get reflected upward into the stratosphere can be a cause. Excuse me. Picture a spinning top. It can whir and gyrate unimpeded when left in steady state, or you could say unbothered. But if you jiggle the table or blow on it, any subtle perturbation can knock it off kilter and send it spiraling into demise. The stratospheric polar vortex is similar. What does sudden stratospheric warming do to the polar vortex? During a sudden stratospheric warming event, the westerly winds that makes up the vortex can slow or even reverse direction. Such a reversal has occurred with the current event. The westerly winds in the extreme upper atmosphere and 60 degrees north have reversed to easterlies or easterlies, wrote Simon Lee, an atmospheric scientist at Columbia University. In an email, it is a displacement event with the vortex nudged off the pole toward Eurasia. Imagine you're stirring a cup of coffee. As you stir faster, the depression in the middle gets deeper, but if you stop stirring, the depression flattens as the vortex fills in. Same thing here. As the polar vortex fills in, cold air can be displaced from the pole to the mid latitudes, with frigid Arctic blasts sometimes reaching Europe, North America, and slash or Asia. How could it affect the weather? Lee explained that a sudden stratospheric warming is not a binary event like a flick switch, and instead the ongoing episode could be reinforced in the weeks ahead. Forecasts suggest that this sudden stratospheric warming will continue to evolve over the coming weeks, with westerly winds appearing likely to decelerate twice in a double dip, he wrote. Such as an evolution is fairly common in major events. Until it's clear exactly how the sudden stratospheric warming will evolve, meteorologists can't make judgment calls about how it could impact the weather. How the disruptive vortex evolves and interacts with waves moving up from the troposphere in the coming 2 weeks will be important in determining the extent to which it can influence tropospheric weather, Lee concluded. Lang said that this sudden stratospheric warming event could be particularly long lived. What is interesting about this event is that we're not looking at short-lived reversal of the stratosphere's high latitude circulation. She wrote, this event is forecast to persist for at least a week to 10 days. Moving into March, the stratospheric polar vortex tends to weaken anyway. If this ongoing event precipitates the end of season disruption of the stratospheric polar vortex, it would be very unusual. The annual springtime demise of the polar vortex is known as a final warming, according to Judah Cohen. Excuse me. A seasonal forecaster with atmospheric and environmental research. A mid-February final warming would be weeks earlier than any previously observed, Cohen said in a message. That doesn't necessarily correspond to a bigger impact, though. The longer the polar vortex is disrupted and does not recover, the longer it delays impacts on our weather, Cohen said. If the impacts hold off until March, as Cohen pointed out, any uptick in wintry weather would be combated by increasing sunshine and the seasonal increase in temperatures. Lang said not to expect big changes to the weather in the short term by the radical changes occurring high above our heads. Right now, the forecast is suggesting that the immediate impacts of this sudden stratospheric warming event on our weather will be minimum, she said. I call bullshit. Listen, they know what's going on. The world is effed up, and it's been effed up for like 15, 20 years, probably more. The thing is that they're trying to lie to everybody. They're trying to lie to everybody. They're trying to make everybody feel calm and not go crazy. But the world is messing up. And they're destroying the world because of the continuation of carbon. Oh, see, they messing with my page. They had to mess with it. There they go. I'm talking about the polar ice caps, talking about all of that stuff. They don't want us to talk about it because they want people to be stupid and blind, but no. Haven't you noticed it's been real cold? Like the weather has been, the people have been talking about, oh, well, you know, it's gonna warm up by the end of the week. It still ain't warming up, it's still getting cold. See, listen, this movie here, they created it, but this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. Is it gonna be tomorrow? Could be. Could it be next week? Could be. Could it be a month? Could it be 5 years, 10 years from now? Who knows? Remember on here, remember this movie? They were talking about, they were basically saying, well, they couldn't read the weather. The weather was all out of whack. And that's what's happening now. When they had that huge blizzard in Texas last year, excuse me, that cold front that knocked everything out because the weather is changing. You know, the world is in a different place now. And they're trying to hide everything by saying, oh, this is minimum. This ain't, excuse me, this ain't minimal. This isn't minimal at all. Everybody's so focused on China and World War III, all of this stuff. Bruh, y'all focused on the wrong stuff. What y'all need to be focused on is, are we going to have a world tomorrow? You know, and people are just walking around here on the news acting like, oh, nothing's happened or anything. Look at this. Winter storm in the north and the heat wave in the south creates 100-degree difference across the US. A powerful winter storm set record low temperatures in the northern plains of the US, while a heat wave in the southeast set record highs for the month of February, leaving the country with an unusual stark temperature difference of more than 100 degrees. Much of Montana, Wyoming, and the Dakotas had temperatures below zero Wednesday afternoon, including -9 degrees in Cut Bank, Montana. At the same time, much of the South and from Texas to the Carolinas had afternoon temperatures above 80 degrees, including a scorching 95 in McAllen, Texas. The extreme cold in the north is just one aspect of the coast to coast storm bringing heavy snow, high winds, and ice on Wednesday. Then you have more than 65 million people across 29 states from as far west as California to Minnesota through Maine were under winter weather alerts as of Wednesday morning, including warnings of severe icing, extreme cold, sleet that are likely to make travel dangerous, and knocked out power to some of those people and residents out there. The upper Midwest is expected to bear the brunt of the storm in terms of snowfall, with the Minneapolis area likely getting more than 20 inches Wednesday and more than 2 feet over the multi-day storm, potentially the most in 30 years. Y'all hear that? 30 years. The Twin Cities reported 3 to 5 inches of snow Wednesday. This is crazy. And then the thing is, they're trying to read the weather report. Like I'm out here in El Paso, Texas. They told us that it was going to be warmed up today. It it was so cold today. It was like in the 40s. They said it would be it was at the 60s or 70s. At night it dropped all the way to the 40s, damn near to 30. It got so cold, and that's what I'm saying. They're not able to project it anymore because they have done everything to mess it up. What's up, Nerdy Blue? What up, Still the King? They've done everything to mess the weather up. They messed the ecosystem up because of their greed. And people are gonna be like, oh well, he's just ranting. I'm not ranting. Dog, have y'all noticed it's been getting colder and colder, and then it's been getting hotter and hotter like each season? And sometimes you can't even tell the difference between fall and winter. Fall and winter feel like it's the same damn thing. Like fall, like when it hit fall, it got so cold, bro. And it never gets cold like that in fall. It usually get cold in like November or late November going into December. Now it's getting cold in September. It's getting cold in late August. It's like, what are we talking about? And then the heat during the summer, it's getting hot, like real hot between like June, July, and will planting more trees solve the problem? Nerdy Blue, we dude, planting trees, that takes years or decades to grow, bruh. They've done so much. I think we only have like one or two forests left. I might be wrong, but dog, it doesn't matter. Like, even if they plant trees, right? It's still not going to stop from them putting carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. See, we're putting so much CO2 into the atmosphere, it's dwindling, and us cutting all these trees and you know the overabundance of eating and killing, and then the overabundance of people in the world, it's just the resources aren't catching up to the demand. Like the supply is not meeting the demand, bruh. Like we have a demand, of damn near 60-70%, and our supply is at like 10 or 20%, maybe 30 at most. And it's getting worse by the year. But nobody's talking about this shit. And it's like mind-boggling to me. So look at this right here. Look at this. This is where the snow is predicted through Saturday at 7 p.m. This is what it's going to look like. And this is the west side. This is West Coast. Look at that. And then, like right here in this area, which is El Paso, because it's right here by New Mexico, Texas, and Mexico, all like at the border. What this is doing, we're getting their cold front. Their cold front is coming down here and hitting us hard. You know what I'm saying? Let me show you the picture. This is what it's looking like. Hold on. This is the polar vortex. And it's a polar vortex disruption. This is it. This is right above the United States, above Europe and Asia. This is the polar vortex. It's being disrupted, and they're talking about it. What it means is up in the air. No, it's not up in the air. We're having a polar vortex. So the thing is that you are coming into the days of extinction, where what happened to the dinosaurs could happen to us. They're talking about, well, a meteor or asteroid hit them, right? But if you continuously keep hurting the planet. It's like, let's say like you're sick, you're getting sick a lot. And basically your body resets itself at times. When you're sick, you take some medicines or whatever, but in this case, the planet is trying to readjust itself, realign itself. So now you're going to get different seasons happening at the wrong time. That's why I told people that the movie The Day After Tomorrow basically predicted everything that's going to go on. And it was a good movie. That was a good movie, but people don't want to acknowledge that. And I told people about that movie. I told people, yep. Yeah, it is. It's a great movie for what it's talking about. So that's the thing that's going on is that the weather has been real messed up, and people are worried about the China and the US war and all of that type of stuff. It's like, bruh, you need to be worried about the world. They are not predicting the weather correctly. And my thing is, I believe in my heart of hearts that they're not able to predict the weather because the weather and the temperatures and the currents, they're changing. They're always changing, and I think they're not able to pick up on it right now. So people looked at me, people looking at it like, well, hold on. Yeah, this planet's been doomed. The thing is that the current is changing so much that it's starting to get into what's up, Nick Jacobs? Exactly. Man can't predict or comprehend what they didn't create. That's a fact. The thing is, they don't know what the hell's going on. I think they can't predict the weather because they're telling everybody, oh, it's going to be sunny. It's going to be beautiful in the next few days. The latter part of the week is going to warm up. It's getting colder. And you have 100-degree difference with The northern states, like where Nick's at in Illinois, Montana, Michigan, compared to the southern states like Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, it's crazy. But see, this is the thing. There have been scientists that come out and predict this. There have been scientists that come out and say, look, if we don't stop doing what we're doing, which they were saying, man basically has cut down all these trees and, dumped trash and oil and all type of stuff in the water that's warming the water up, or they're dumping fresh water in there and they're melting the caps. The caps are melting at a high rate that is scary. And any day, I really believe any day that everything could collapse. And this isn't nothing to, excuse me, this isn't me trying to scare everybody. It's not me trying to scare nobody. It's just the truth. When the movie Day After Tomorrow came out, I told everybody this movie is very real. They put out books about this. What up, Scrub? Yeah, exactly, Scrub. And the reason why it's like that is because of the polar ice caps. You have a disruption in the stratosphere. You have a disruption in the polar vortex. The polar vortex is basically where the North Pole is at. Or is it the South Pole? One of them poles. One of them poles, Scrub. But you're having a disruption, and what's going on is, I believe that because of so much of the CO2 and the false and the fumes and the oil and the gases, the dumping of fresh water and cold water, the overpopulation, all of it is coming back and it's disrupting the ecosystem of the world, which I've already known is what happened. I've told people this. I've told people that everything, one of these days they come to an end, man. And because of man's greed, I didn't hear about that, Nerdy Blue. When did that happen? Last week? Oh, I think I heard of that. Hey, listen, bro. This stuff is real. We could be seeing the end of the world. People are saying, well, it can't happen overnight. Okay. You think it can't. Okay. That's how they are. You see, the reason they're saying that is they're trying to keep people calm. They don't want people to panic. Panic causes mass hysteria. Mass hysteria causes death, collapses, everything. Me, I see it for what it is. We're screwed. Yep. Judgment's coming for this land. Yep. Nick is correct. So if you're not right with God or right with whatever you believe in, you better start doing it. Because things are getting out of hand. And people are walking around here blind, like they don't see what's going on. You see, they got all these distractions to keep you from looking at what really is going on. And it's sad. It's real sad. That's what I was trying to tell people. It's been crazy here. It's not just the Chinese. The Americans have done it for a long time. So it ain't just the Chinese doing it. Americans have done it too. Don't just blame the Chinese or blame others. America's been just as guilty. America's been dumping stuff and doing all type of crazy stuff. They just don't let you know about it. They just keep it on the hush hush. They just keep it on the hush hush hush. Yep, exactly. Exactly. Nick is absolutely right. That's what they're doing. They're doing all that stuff. They're doing all of that stuff still. But yet they want to try to lie to you and tell you, oh, we're helping the American people. We're helping. Yeah, they helping, all right. They helping to kill you off. I don't trust the government for nothing. I don't trust them dudes for nothing, man. Them dudes are liars. They'll tell you anything. But people got to wake up. People got to ask themselves. They doing all this research, right? What are they doing it for? Why are they doing it? Are we a part of it? Are we included in this plan? They're showing you in movies that they're only saving people who know how to build, know how to plant, farm, things of that nature. They've been telling you in movies. You see, they're making these movies to prepare you for when it happens. So you'll be cool with it. So basically it's like this. If a collapse of the northern Atlantic and Antarctica overturning circulations will profoundly alter the anatomy of the world's oceans, it will make them fresher at depth, deplete them of oxygen, and starve the upper ocean of the upwelling of nutrients provided when deep waters resurface from the ocean abyss. That's basically if the current just died, like just stopped. Like if there was no more flow. You see this? Let me show you this. I'm finna show you this. Now, when the day after tomorrow came out, scientists blasted. Scientists said this ain't nothing. Now, look at this article. Since they think they were crazy. Some of the science behind the ridiculous movie The Day After Tomorrow is now coming true. And this article is 4 years old. You see this? Now look at this. Y'all may recall the 2004 speculative flick The Day After Tomorrow for both its inane action sequences and its gross exaggeration of the impacts of climate change. But new research shows that the basic ideas behind the movie that were so utterly twisted and embellished for the sake of driving the plot forward may now be happening. The widely panned film centers around an abrupt collapse of something called the Atlantic meridional overturning circulation, or you could call it AMOC, brought on by climate change. As a result, within hours, intense storms and weather wreaked major cities in much of the northern hemisphere is left frozen in an apparent instant coming of a new ice age. The scale and swiftness of the catastrophes depicted in the movie represent perhaps the ultimate conflation of what defines weather versus climate. But now, more than a decade after all those sci-fi sins were committed, actual new science shows that the AMOC is indeed not in the best health as many have suspected for years. You see what I'm saying? So, for people, you see, people minds and priority is stupid. You got all these YouTubers making millions. All of this. Are they talking about this stuff? Are they bringing this stuff up? No, they're not. This is why they're the top ranked. This is why they're the top ranked people or the ranked YouTubers or people on the internet. And this is what happens. Look at this. Fair USAC, fair USAC. Look at this. Going through the same drive-through 1,000 times. 199 million views, Mr. Beast. Right. But if I bring up something like this, what will it tell me? I only get a little bit of views, right? That's it. You see, I've known about this for over 6, 7 years, no, 10 years. I'll say 15 years. Let me see. Yeah, about 15 years. Yeah. Wow. YouTubers control will I build for 24 hours. Weirdest things caught on security cameras. I'm telling you, we're living in a twilight world. It's crazy. Tell me. This is how it goes. But yet, don't want to talk about it. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. They did it to my other channel. They kicked me off because I was telling the truth. See, they don't want you to tell the truth and be honest of what's going on out here. Because they know if whatever's out here, like excuse me, like my estimated revenue has dropped on my channel. You know why? Because they basically hit me with a strike, messed my channel up. So now I just say F it. I'm just gonna talk about stuff that's real and that all of us need to see. And all of us needs to see this. It's crazy. What's up, Mike Santiago, man? I'm glad you found my page. I ain't think you signed it. They got me banned on my other page for a week, man. I'll be back to doing videos on it in 2 days. I'll be back on Welcome to HDiiTV. But I'm still gonna drop content on this channel because I got to, in case they try to ban me again from my other channel. It's crazy. So you know how that goes. Oh, no doubt, man. Appreciate it, Mike.
Excuse me, you guys. I'm really sorry, but we need to change the channel.
The FAA has grounded all air traffic in the United States. Unfortunately, the order came too late for two planes that were brought down by severe turbulence in the Midwest. The first flight.
So much for 1 in a billion.
All right, listen up, everybody. Listen up, please. We've got a lot of work to do, and we don't have much time, so let's get started, please. More steam.
You see this from the movie.
All our grid models are working. I don't think grid models are going to be a lot of help here. The Canadians are reporting tremendous circulation moving down from the Arctic in Siberia.
You heard that? They're talking about the grid, basically they're talking about the maps. And this is what I'm telling you, the maps ain't really working well.
There's a low pressure system unlike anything we've seen, and Australia just saw the strongest typhoon ever recorded.
Hang on, are you saying that these things are interconnected?
We have to consider the possibility.
The only force strong enough to affect global weather is the sun.
What's NASA have to say?
We've already checked. Solar output is normal.
What about the North Atlantic current?
What about it?
I got a call last night from Professor Rapson at the Headland Center.
Fair USAC, fair
The current has
USAC.
changed.
Oh, come on, Jack. How could that be?
The current depends upon a delicate balance of salt and fresh water.
We all know that.
Yes, but no one has taken into account how much fresh water has been dumped into the ocean because of melting polar ice. I think we've hit a critical desalinization point.
It would explain what's driving this extreme weather.
Headland had some pretty convincing data. They've asked me to feed it into my paleoclimate model to track the next set of events.
Hold on, Jack. Are you suggesting these weather anomalies are going to continue?
Not just continue, get worse. I think we're on the verge of a major climate shift. Tom, what are you going to tell the administration?
What do you expect me to tell?
The government has to start making long-term preparations now.
Jack, all you have is a theory.
Well, then give me the mainframe and let me prove it.
No.
You see this? What's up, DC? Yeah, the hottest February you've experienced. And it's been cold down here in El Paso, bro. It's been cold down here. El Paso being cold like this, bro, it's crazy. They said that it would be warming up. It would stay warm, right? Yep. Mm-hmm. It's usually warm around this time, but guess what, DC? It's cold. So, just like he was saying in this movie, Fair USAC. Watch what he said.
Into the ocean because of melting polar ice. Taking into account the current center, he thinks the current fell last night. What about the North Atlantic current?
What about it?
North Atlantic current.
I got a call last night from Professor Rapson at the Headland Center. He thinks the current.
Aren't you near the equator? Yes. Here, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you exactly where I'm at. Cause see, look, here it is right here. Oh, my bad. My fat fingers. You see that? There go the equator right here. And boom. Oh, now they blurring my thing. Here we are here. Closer to the equator. So look at this. This is showing you the real size of the countries around the world. See? You see how small Greenland and all of that stuff is? Look how small that is. Canada, the US. You see how small China really is? You see how small Russia is? You see how small China is? Africa, you see Australia and Africa still the same size. You see Middle East, India, all of that still the same size. But the countries they say are the most powerfulest in the world, they're actually the smallest continents. You see that? Look at that. Look how small it is. This is really how the map is supposed to be. Y'all ever seen that West Wing episode? This is how the map actually supposed to be. See that? That's really how it's supposed to be. They showed that episode one time on West Wing. They never showed it again. And see, the video is no longer there. The account has been terminated. Why would they terminate the account? Telling you. It's so much stuff they don't tell you. It's crazy. Telling you. But yeah, I just wanted to break that down to y'all, give y'all a little bit of something. I'm about to head to bed. I got an early morning, so thank y'all for coming by, man. This is the DEEZYii report signing off. Peace.